On Christmas Eve, when the world grows quiet and the winter wind begins to howl, there is an old belief whispered across northern Europe, a myth that the sky itself opens and something ancient breaks through. People often warned that if you were out too late, if you wandered too far from the warmth of your own home, you might hear it before you saw it. A horn in the distance, the thunder of hooves, shadows rushing across the vast, dark sky, a terrifying procession of spirits, hunters, and the dead. The wild hunt, and if it found you on Christmas Eve, you wouldn't be returning. Long before Christmas was about warm lights and gift-giving, the time of year was seen as a dangerous, cryptic time. A moment when the year was ending, when the nights were longest, when the veil between worlds was at its thinnest. Across Scandinavia, Germany, Britain, all across the north, people believed that for the 12 nights around Christmas, the spirits of the dead roamed freely, and at the head of that spectral tide rode some sort of legendary figure. In the Norse region, it was Odin, one-eyed, white-bearded, riding his 8-legged horse, his cloak billowing like a storm cloud. In Germany, it was Wotan, or a phantom rider named Eckhart. In the British Isles, Gwyn ap Nudd, ruler of the dead. Different names, different cultures, but all describing the exact same thing. A roaring, sky-shaking procession that swept over the countryside during the darkest part of winter. One of the most detailed and widespread accounts comes from old Danish folklore. It begins on a frozen Christmas Eve in a small rural village, a place where the people had survived countless harsh winters, but always feared one thing more than the cold. As the story tells, the night began like any other. Families gathered around their fireplaces. They played and enjoyed their festivities, leaving small bundles of hay outside the door, offerings to Odin's horse so that the hunt passed by them. But some time after midnight, everything changed. The wind didn't just rise, it shifted. It came suddenly and violently. The animals in the barn kicked and became unsettled. The candles inside homes flickered and then died. At first, no one dared to look outside, but one man, a traveler seeking shelter, was still on the road. He would later say he felt the temperature drop to a dead stillness. Then came the first sound, a horn, long, low, echoing across the sky. He scanned the darkness, but saw nothing. Then came the second sound, hooves, not on the ground, but in the sky. He looked up, and the clouds shifted. Shadows swept across the moon. A torrent of riders galloped through the sky, cloaked in mist and moonlight. Some said their faces were hidden, others said they were skeletal. Their hounds snarled, eyes glowing like embers. The traveler froze. The air felt pulled from his lungs. One of the riders turned its head. It didn't make a sound. It didn't raise a weapon. It only looked at him. And then, the entire host swept forward, spiraling into the clouds until the sky was empty again. When villagers found the traveler the next morning, he was alive, but shaken beyond words. He never walked the road at night again. And he wasn't the only one. For centuries, people across the north described the same experience. Storms that came out of nowhere, lights racing across the sky, rumbling like thunder with no lightning to follow. Shadowy figures glimpsed only for a moment. The same night, the same season, every year. So what was the Wild Hunt? There are three major theories. Anthropologists suggest the Wild Hunt may have begun as a real midwinter ceremony. Masked riders, torch processions, drumming, and chanting. Over time, as Christianity spread, these rituals faded, and what remained became ghost stories of phantom riders. Some believe the hunt was inspired by fierce winter storms, roaring winds in pine forests, or meteors or northern lights appearing suddenly. When you live in a world lit by fire, nature itself becomes mystical. Folklorists note that stories of the Wild Hunt are incredibly consistent despite coming from hundreds of miles apart. Why did so many cultures describe the same procession? Some propose it was a collective myth, an embodiment of winter's danger. Others believe it may represent something deeper, a primal fear of the long night, a sense that winter itself is hunting mankind, or even an ancient belief that the dead return during midwinter to reclaim lost souls. Today, the Wild Hunt survives mostly as folklore, a chilling myth whispered in old books and winter tales. But even now, when the wind howls across icy fields, or when the aurora dances in strange shapes overhead, some say it's easy to imagine riders charging along the sky. So this Christmas, if you're out late at night, if the world grows suddenly quiet, and if you hear hooves pounding above you, don't look up. Not everyone the Wild Hunt sees is ever seen again. Thank you for watching. Stay warm, stay safe, and happy holidays.